Jim Kaylor. Like you to see. Like you to start off. Jim Kaylor is one of those guys I could just listen to for hours. He has a style.
Thank you, folks, for being here today. I know the topic today is courage, and I was thinking about what I'm going to say. I'm just glad I'm going ahead of Ken Pipes because he's a better public speaker than I am. And he doesn't have a clue what he's going to say yet either. But I told him I was going to tell you a story today that I have never told in public, but I've written it down. And it's one of those stories I buried for many, many years. When I came back from Vietnam in 1969, I got discharged at age 20. I'd been 20 for 1 month. I'd been back from Vietnam for 7 months. So I went to Vietnam, spent most of my 18th year over there. I served from the late 67 to all of 68, came home in December, and it was pretty traumatic for a 19-year-old kid from Newport Beach, California. It was a different world. So what I'm going to talk to you about, courage. I've seen courage. I've known it, seen it, and I've known some real heroes. One of them is Ken Pipes, I might add. He's one of my personal heroes, and he also led the last company-sized bayonet attack in Marine Corps history, for what it's worth. But what I'm going to talk about is my time in Vietnam, and we were placed 1st Battalion, 4th Marines in the end of May 1968. They had just had a huge battle down at the Caviet River called the Battle of Dai Do. Any of you ever heard of that battle? The Battle of Dai Do was involved with basically 2-4, with a BLT and a couple of companies from 1-3, and they got into an attack mode down there in that area, and they fought 2 regiments of North Vietnamese who were also in the attack mode. And it was one of the few times where the Marine Corps actually fought a stand-up infantry battle where both sides were attacking at the same time. And needless to say, the North Vietnamese lost a lot of people. So they sent replacements down daily from North Vietnam. The battalion I was in, we had just replaced 1-4 at Con Tien, which was about not even a mile from North Vietnam. On June 6th, my platoon was tasked with going out to do the security sweep around the fire base. Now, this fire base was like ground zero in 1967 and 1968. All this country had been fought over hard for the previous 2 years. Most Marine Corps units in the 3rd Marine Division got sent to Con Tien for at least a month in the bullseye. On June 6, 1968, we went out on a patrol sweep, and my platoon commander was a staff sergeant. This was his first patrol ever. He had just arrived in country. All the squad leaders were either corporals or PFCs, lance corporals. We had nobody of higher rank than that. The platoon sergeant was a corporal, and we were very undermanned. But we were called a reinforced company because we had a dog handler and a guy that could blow stuff up with us. So that's a reinforced platoon. So we were on this patrol. Everybody's doing their job. We get out, and we were down near a place they called Peace Church in Nam Dong Airfield, south of the base. And we're only about a click and a half outside of the main base. And the troops were on line. My squad was in trail with the crew-served weapons, and everything was going fine until a battalion of North Vietnamese opened up on us from all sides. And within the first probably 1 minute, platoon sergeant was killed. Everybody carrying a radio got shot, and about half the men were down. And they were down in enemy country. We pulled back over with a squad that was still fairly intact. And then we started fighting it out with these guys. We had one radio left after the first 1 minute. So we only had one, and they didn't know how bad this was. At headquarters, the battalion command weren't listening. The guy on the radio that had the one radio left was not on the battalion TAC. He was on the mortar side of the radio deal, and so they found out later how bad we were off, and they decided they would, call in the rescue helicopters to pick us up. There was one problem with that. The rescue helicopters all got diverted mid-flight to rescue Charlie 1-4 up at LZ Loon by Kaylor. Our general at the time was a general that some of you may know the name, Ray Davis, Medal of Honor recipient, Navy Cross, 2 Silver Stars. This guy was a hero. I've met him a few times prior to him passing. He ordered all the helo assets to go pick up Charlie 1-4 because they were yelling for help louder than we were. Nobody knew what situation we were in. So they decided to mount a rescue effort later in the afternoon, but we've been pinned down all day. We went through all of our ammo, all of our water. It's like 110 degrees. We're pinned down in a ditch. My squad leader became the de facto platoon commander, and the bottom line is we were out of bullets, we were out of water, and we were out of tactical brilliance. We didn't know where the rest of our platoon was. We didn't realize they were all they were all casualties. Most of them were killed. Most of them serious gunshot wounds. We didn't have really many walking wounded. My squad leader, corporal named Ken Schabel, God rest his soul, he decided he was going to make a command decision, and we thought we were pinned down and we were done. If the North Vietnamese decided to hit us, we were totally disorganized as a platoon because we only had less than 10 people left, probably about 7 or 8. Now that would be at the end of the day, but what happened is he ordered an attack. He put us on line. We couldn't get up. If we snuck one guy up, he got dinged and couldn't make it up there. So we decided maybe the North Vietnamese have pulled out because it's been a while since they shot at us. So we get the squad online. He gives the command, fix bayonets. Anybody that had a bayonet, put it on the end of his rifle. I was carrying an M79, so they didn't make those for those. So we go into the attack mode, and we start running across the field, and we realized they hadn't pulled back. We got through the first tree line, and they mowed us down. Now, where courage comes, one of the guys that attacked with us, when they said fix bayonets, he didn't even have a rifle. He pulled 2 hand grenades out of his pocket. That was all he had. Anyway, we attacked. Everybody to my left was shot. Most of them killed, including Corporal Schabel. He got hit right in the mouth. The bullet exited the back of his head. The young man next to me, Rick Ernestine, he got hit right through the helmet, hit him in the forehead, split his skull open. I found him later on. And I finally saw him again after 45 years at our last reunion. And I'm just glad he made it out alive. But this young man's name was William Allen Hayes from Chicago, Illinois. He went to Steinmetz High School. He was the same age as me, age 19. When we made it out there, we saw the enemy bunkers right in front of us to our left, and we were out in the middle of the field running. There was no cover. There was no running away. He and I looked at each other, and he had that look, we're dead. So we might as well get killed attacking. And he attacks, and I'm right on his hip. We run across, all I had at that time was a .45 caliber pistol. Very similar to the one that's on my hip now, I might add. But we run across the field, we're attacking, I fired, changed magazines, I'm down to my last magazine. I get right up, I watch Hayes get shot, and he lands on the machine gun. It was a crew-served weapon, like an OPD type. You guys are familiar with that, I'm sure. But he went down. All I saw was his feet in the air, and he lands in the bunker with the North Vietnamese that are shooting at me from about 3 feet away, 4 feet away. I'm looking right down the muzzle of this gun as it's firing. I drop to one knee, I'm looking at 4 shiny faces with brand new NBA haircuts, and I'm shooting my .45 pistol at them, and I go, this is it. The last rounds I felt them go, I could feel the air turbulence off the bullets on the back of my neck and the side of my head, and the muzzle blast in my ear. I closed my eyes. I thought I'm dead. I'm shooting. I lit, and the muzzle of that weapon was pointing straight in the air. It's still firing. I don't see a face there. So I go, now's the time to get. Anyway, I ran back, jumped in a bomb crater that was about probably 20, 30 feet away. I landed in that bomb crater, and there I am. I got 3 bullets left on me and 1 grenade in my pocket, and that is the extent of my armament. The reason I'm telling you this story, the courage, I have to thank Bill Hayes, William Allen Hayes. I have to thank him every day of my life for him saving my life, because without him, they had to shoot at somebody and they shot at him. And this all happened in an instant. It was, it was a pretty traumatic deal. I'm sitting there now going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I started shaking so bad that I had to put my other hand out on my .45 to keep from hurting myself with it. And then I finally talked to myself and I said, you need to settle down or you are going to die. You need to use your head. So at that point I called back and located only 2 other guys that made it through that attack. They were behind me. One of them's name was Jim Terry. And Jim Terry was a school-trained scout sniper, but they lost his paperwork, so he ended up in the grunts with us, was never a sniper. But he was a good shot, and I thank my lucky stars for it, because I got in a grenade battle with these North Vietnamese soldiers that were in the bunker. They'd throw a grenade, I'd throw one. And I finally had them sneak around, go to all of our dead troops, and then with that, they brought the grenades. I could throw them up to me. Do you think they could get them in that crater with me? Not a chance. None of them landed. They were landing all behind me, around to the side. Finally, I asked for a smoke grenade. They got that one in there with me. I smoked the North Vietnamese out so they wouldn't see me. Then I get up and retrieve the grenades. After I retrieved those grenades, I started tossing them in the bunkers with these guys. And I knew there was at least 5 or 6 of them left in this bunker adjacent to me. And I knew the ones that I got direct hits in there. And I remember they gave me a Willie Peter grenade. You guys, I don't know if you still use that stuff or not, the white phosphorus. And I go, I'm within the bursting radius of this grenade. I go, so what? Throw it anyway. So I threw it anyway. Then I'm dancing around trying to not get hit by the burning embers from that thing. We attacked. Finally, I got another smoke grenade. After a while, I'm sitting there by myself in the rain. Pours rain. The spotting plane flies over, and apparently the spotter called our headquarters and said, you guys got getting guys slaughtered out there, and nobody even knew about it. So they sent out a reinforced, 2 reinforced platoons, because we only had 4 platoons for the whole base. So they sent out half of those troops, led by my company commander for the day was Captain Chuck Broughton. Now Broughton, interesting how this goes on, his nephew was a captain here in this Recon unit last year or 2 years ago. He went to 3-5 to be the OPSO. Here we are, waiting. You're sitting on a battlefield, I'm calling out names, and I'm thinking, this is a scary place to be. It was just me and God there that day, because everybody else was down and nobody was answering when I was yelling out their names. We got back, sat there, I smoked them out again, and I ran back to the other 2 guys.
1 minute.
What's that? Okay, 10 minutes. I'm just about done, I guess. So, I didn't get killed yet. I didn't get to that part yet, did I? Oh. Okay. At the end of that, we led in an attack. I went back, retrieved all the ammo we had left, and then I went back with those 3 guys and we attacked the bunkers again, and then rescue came. And I'm glad they showed up when they did, but they almost got shot by us. I thought they were North Vietnamese soldiers, and I just stood there. I was ready to be done. I was ready for them to just shoot me down. But where I'm going with this is courage. Where does courage come from? Who knows? It's a human nature. It's a natural trait. You all have it. You that are wearing that green out there, you that have worn it in the past, you know what it's like. You know what it is when you see it. Anyway, I wanted to take this chance today to thank William Allen Hayes for saving my life. He gave me 45 years that he never got. And my heroes will all be 19 for eternity. Thank you. Sheriff's Department uniform? I'm a recruiter for the LA County Sheriff's Department. I am Body Snatcher 6 actual. My job is to come out here and recruit Marines to be deputy sheriffs. So I've been wearing this, I've been carrying a gun and wearing a uniform since I was 18 years old. So that's one of the things. Anybody looking for a job, I'm here to help.
God had a plan for your life. That's why you're alive. I honestly believe that God kept you alive because he had a plan for you.
Well, God had to have kept me alive for some reason. You know, I mean, because I don't know why I was spared and the others were killed. On this day, we had 25 casualties. We had 14 killed and 11 gunshot victims. Everybody was down. We had 8 people left in the platoon when we were done. But I was the platoon commander then. I guess I got promoted. I was the senior PFC on the field. So.
Anybody else? Were you courageous going into the Marines, or did the Marines make you more courageous?
I don't know. I really do not know the answer to that. I was an 18-year-old kid who had no clue what I was getting into. But I learned it real fast. On June 6th, I knew I had done something that others didn't do, but not as much as some did. And so a lot of those are dead. So I've seen courage. I know what it looks like. You all know what it looks like. I've seen it on the police department. Those guys that are going, the girls that are going out there right now on working South Central Los Angeles and on graveyard shift, they have courage. So, yeah, I think I found it in the Marine Corps. It made me, when I came back, even though I was 19, my peers, I did not feel, I felt totally alienated from a lot of them. So.
Thank you, Jim.
Time for me to go have a beer. Ken Pipes, my hero. Get up here and say something heroic. Motivating. Here's a man who, when we were at Quezon, he had 62 men killed in his rifle company in 3 months. We only had 27 in mine, so I feel much better.